Now we're getting expensive headphones again from Apos. They send me stuff every now and then. Doesn't affect my review in any way, shape, or form. I can say whatever I want. But anyway, this is the Meze Audio. I forgot the name of it. Doesn't say right there, but it was made in Romania. Oh, wait, I guess that's it. The 109 Pro. That makes sense. But anyway, this box, I think, looks really nice, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for what's inside this giant box. You can already see this is going to be their $800 headphone, so it's pretty expensive. It is the upgrade from their, the 99s, I believe. So if you go from 99s, you jump straight to this, which I understand is like several hundred more dollars. This is the back. I'm just going to close that. That makes sense. That's the front. The glue's coming off. That's not good. But anyway, here is the package itself inside. Under it, is there anything? Yep, looks like we have a lot of paperwork. Well, it's more than just a manual. It's got all this artsy stuff. Oh, because, this is an expensive piece. Fancy equipment, whatnot. And they're trying to make sure you know that this is the good stuff to give you that premium experience. Minus the box falling apart, but once again, this could be because it's a review unit, or it was just super, super hot outside and the glue decided to fail, so, ups and downs there. Alright, let's actually unbox this thing and see what's inside. So, the case itself is pretty nice, like a little hard shell case. Inside, you get just what you need. The headphones themselves, and a bag of, I'm gonna guess, the accessories, which are cables. Yep, cable stuff. So, you get one cable, 2 cable, and 1/4-inch adapter. Okay. From what I can tell from the cables, you get one shorter cable. This is for personal usage where you don't need a really long cable. And in case you really need a long cable, here it is. This is the very long cable in case you're plugging into a whole giant system that requires a lot of room, and requiring you to have a really long cable. Most of the audiophiles will be running into this problem, but if you're most people like myself and you're just a pretty simpleton, for some reason getting expensive headphones, you could use these ones. I mean, granted, I don't get to keep these boys, but I still have them in possession, and I'm more likely to use these guys because I don't really need all that craziness here. Now, I don't always get to handle the fanciest stuff in the world, but when I do, I think it's pretty nice. This, for example, is very well built. The Meze 99s, I've felt them before, but I haven't reviewed them because I never had a unit to review. I might ask for them later, but I felt them and they're really nice, and this is very similar in that it's also incredibly nice. Being the 109s? Yep, 109 Pros. It makes sense because they're trying to follow very similar, not recipe, but formula for that similar feel and look, but adding extra premium features. I mean, look at even the little thing that holds the suspension band bit. That is nice, but the design overall is very similar to the 99s, minus the fact that they are open back and using much fancier design bits here and there. Even this little bit here, that's nice. Anyway, we do have the velour pads. You can actually see into the drivers, which is pretty cool. But let's get them tested a little bit. I'm curious as to whether I'm going to like them more than my personal set, which are the AudioQuest Night Owl, which I don't want to really review, nor have I really reviewed because they don't make them anymore. That's the main reason I don't review them, but maybe I will review them one day, because some people have asked for me to review them despite them being out of production. Alright, but today we're talking about these guys here, so let's talk about how they look on the head as well as how they feel on the head. So overall, I kind of like how they look. They're pretty cool looking, kind of interesting, maybe a little bit dorky because, the suspension band system, but not as dorky as something that's gigantic like the Anandas by Hi-Fi Man. Those are enormous, but, point is, this is how they look, and they don't look too bad. They're kind of interesting. I wouldn't wear them out and about personally because they are open backs, but if you are thinking about doing that for some reason, well, then this is what the look you're gonna get. It's not too crazy, which is nice, I guess. Now, as far as comfort is concerned, I think it's pretty comfortable. Suspension band system is my preferred method when it comes to these things. However, when it comes to the clamping force, I think it's pretty good, but I do feel some pressure in my jaw, but not a whole lot of it, so I still was able to wear it for hours on end. But I just, kind of noticed it was there initially, and this feeling kind of went away for a little bit of time. So I think the clamping force maybe is a bit high out of the box, but nothing you can't bend to, make it a little bit less, clampy. But I guess over time it also may lose that springiness. Well, but not a whole lot. But when I really think about it over time with usage over the hours I use it, I think this is enough clamping force where it feels secure, but it doesn't hurt or annoy me, if that makes sense. Now with the velour pads, I think everything makes it feel extra comfortable, and there's a lot of space between your ear and the driver, so you don't ever have to worry about like your ear touching the drivers, unless your ears like flap out like crazy. So, you know, your mileage will vary depending on their size and shape of your ears. Alright, now as far as sound is concerned, the 109 Pros are the polar opposites of my current headphones, which are, you know, the Night Owls I just mentioned a little while ago. The Night Owls are dark. These, the 109 Pros, these are bright. So they emphasize more of like the mids and the highs rather than like the deep dark lows that the you know, these guys like to emphasize. Granted, these are kind of, they have a funny sound profile, but that aside, back on the 109 Pros, it's got a bright sound, and it's not necessarily a bad thing for some, but for me, I found it not my favorite sound profile. The overall profile being bright doesn't mean that there isn't any bass. I think there's a decent amount of bass. It's not neutral by any means. There's some bump to it, so you still feel the presence of the mid bass, and the lower bass is okay. I would say there's a good deep reach, but it's not the most present thing in the world, though it is there. It's just, you know, not the main feature here that you can hear. Now, moving into the mids are okay. They don't shine in any kind of way, shape, or form, but they are there, and they're presented very cleanly, which is good. Now, I will say there is a lot of texture in this sound, but this may be as I move into like the upper mids to the highs, where these definitely are far more pushed forward than anything else in the sound range. I mean, the mids do feel a little bit forward push along with it to give more presence and like that detail and clarity. But when it came to the highs and the upper mids, I felt like sometimes they reached the point of feeling a little spicy, little bit much, but not necessarily sibilant. They were very there, very bright, very detailed, very textured. And I'm not sure if I always liked that, because I just don't like bright sounding headphones for the most part, so there's my bias. Now on the bright side, haha, see what I did there? On the bright side, I found the sound to be very energetic, very dynamic. There's this degree of like excitement they bring to the table, because you still have some bass to give some oomph to, like, you know, the mids and the highs being very bright and just kind of slamming in your face, giving this rather exciting experience, but jarring on occasion, depending on like how the sound went. Like if songs had a lot of highs going on or had a sudden high out of nowhere, it was a little jarring, because, you know, it's a little spicy for me. I'm a little sensitive to the highs. But in like a movie and game situation, I thought it was pretty awesome, honestly. It was very exciting, you know? And these being open back have a very large sound stage, giving you a great, large, enormous presentation of sound with a pretty good degree of like imaging and like spatial awareness. There's this airiness between all the sounds, and not just games, but also in music. And this was more noticeable, at least for me, in games, because I can kind of feel that space between all the sounds, which is essentially, you know, the sound separation and whatnot. And this then indicates that it uses the stage very well. The size of the stage being large gives a lot of space to be used for the sound, and I think they did a great job in presenting the sound. Now, all this does mean that these will do amazingly in being a very good immersive set of gaming headphones if you're going to be using them for like non-competitive games, but even in like more competitive games, I still found them to be relatively immersive because of the way they presented the sound in almost a naturalistic kind of way, despite being bright sounding. And despite being, you know, very high oriented, I don't think it gave you an incredible edge in tracking people for like, you know, hearing the footsteps early on, but when you did hear the footsteps, they were quite prominent. Now, I do think due to like the open back nature of the sound, it gives you more realistic representation of sound. So if enemies are far, they will sound far and therefore quiet, so you're not going to get that edge where you can hear them early. But I kind of liked that immersive like experience when I was playing games like Escape from Tarkov, which is more about realism, I guess. So that was kind of neat. So even for competitive games, I found them to be pretty fun. Just don't expect like the extra edge that you would get from like, say, IEMs and anything else with a smaller soundstage, essentially. Now, at the end of the day, these guys are still $800 audiophile headphones, which means for most people out there, that's a lot of money, and I can't really recommend it to most people who are gamers. But if you're an audiophile and you happen to be looking for some headphones you want to be using for gaming, I think these would do a great job, with one caveat, well, maybe several caveats, but the main one being that you have to like bright sounds, because while I did find them nice for gaming because they did very well from competitive and non-competitive, I didn't like them very much for music because I'm not someone who likes bright sounding headphones. That's just me. But if you are that person and you do like bright sounds and you do want to use them for gaming, I think these would be a great pick. They didn't give you like the smaller size edge you would get to hear people sooner in competitive games, but they're very accurate and precise for tracking people, and the bright sounds did help with that tracking. And in non-competitive stuff, it was immersive. It had this airy sound, very realistic sounding. I do wish there was a little bit more oomph from the low end to really tie it all together, to give it some weight into the sound, but can't win everything when it's a bright set, I guess. But, you know, with that being said, I still did think it did a great job for non-competitive. It's just not as perfect as I would personally like it. Once again, I like darker sound. I like that oomph, but maybe tube amps would help fix that. But, you know, that's diving more into audiophile stuff, in which case, you know, if you're not a audiophile, then you kind of know. So for me, I wouldn't buy them, but for someone else, I can imagine you would buy them. It's a bright sounding headphone. I'm biased against it. Now, I will mention, I am going to get the 99 Classics to also compare them to, because I think it's only fair that I review not just something really expensive, but also something that's still, I mean, I guess $200 can be still pretty expensive, but it's a nice set of headphones that more of you guys who are like not audiophiles, who just like nice sounds for your games, can probably like afford at $200, but often found on sale for $150. So that's why I'm going to check out the 99 Classics, and we can also compare it to see if it's actually a good step up between them, because I don't know, I think it'd be interesting. But that being said, look out for that review, and yeah. Also, if you're thinking about purchasing these headphones, I left a link in the description. It's an affiliate link, which gives me a kickback so I can live a little longer. That's basically all I have today. If you're a bright-leaning person and you like using these things for gaming, and you like what I'm saying here, then maybe these are for you. For me, not really. I'm a dark boy, like I said. I mean, look at my skin. Let's not get that far, okay? See you guys next time.